This podcast contains strong language and discussions about relationships, sex, and love. It may not be suitable for younger listeners. This is the Sex and Singapore City podcast, and I am Nick Selena.
I'm ready.
Everyone, just so you know, I've got Paul with me tonight.
I was in mid-drink motion just to get my whistle wet.
And welcome everyone to another Monday evening of the Sex and Singapore City podcast. And tonight, as you can tell, Paul is with me again. How wet is your whistle?
My whistle is now very nice and wet because we're going to be talking about quite a serious conversation.
Yes.
That I think a lot of people in serious relationships, especially when they're a little bit older, will have to go through.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is the dreaded discussion of marriage and children.
I love the dreaded. And to those of you who are married and have children, congratulations, by the way.
You made it past the first barrier.
Yeah. You can stop listening to this podcast right now. Yeah, totally redundant for you. You've done it. You've got a gold star.
Yeah. Unless you've already had children in your past relationship and then you have a new relationship and they don't want children and you do want more children or vice versa, and then we go.
Boom. So we might as well start with that one since you've gone through that.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Oh, babe, why don't you just put me under the spotlight?
That's it.
No, I think we should start with, when do you even start having the conversation?
Wow. I mean, I don't think there's a hard start or hard
first
stop.
Date?
Well, okay, maybe not first date. Maybe not first date, but yes, actually.
What?
It comes up in first date. Like, so how many how many children do you want? Do you see yourself getting married? And that kind of also can set a tone of, ooh, wow, okay. She said 2, I want 2. She said maybe when I'm like 33, oh my God, me too. When I'm 33, like early 30s. So like, you're like, oh wow, like ticking the boxes. So you
think a first date convo about the dreaded marriage and babies discussion is an option?
The superficial first kind of question ones, why not? But I guess when it gets really serious is when you're really going to be talking like, hey, we've been together for 2-3 years now. We're not getting any younger, But again, it's different. Like if you start a serious relationship when you're 21 and 3 years from 21 when you're 24, it's very different to when you've got in a relationship when you're 31 and 3 years later you're 34. The conversation and topic of marriage is very different between those 10 years.
100%.
Right? At 24, you're like not even thinking about it. Maybe it's like we can have the conversation, but it's like this is something still in our future.
Well, you're thinking like a lot of my 25-year-old local girls are like, I want to be a mum. I wasn't that. I did not want to be a mum.
Yeah, not at that age.
No, but they do.
Okay.
And they're like, one of them is just like amazing with children. And you can just tell she's mum vibes, and she is only 25. And they want marriage and they want babies. And I had no clue at that age for me whether I was ever going to be a mum. Only after I hit my 30s and I fell in love with my ex did I then get mum vibes. Yeah. So, I think it is different in those 10 years, but it is also different, like, individually, obviously, as most things is.
Of course.
Like, some people, like, know that they want kids, like, even as 21,
Yeah. I mean, it's also different. There is a difference knowing that you want to have kids, and then feeling that you want to have kids with this specific person.
Yes.
Right? There's various levels of it. Yes, you could grow up always thinking, for me, I do want a family. I do want children at some point. When that point is, though, honestly, I still don't quite know.
Yeah. I didn't have that. I didn't really want kids.
Right.
Then I met my ex. Then I saw kids.
Yes.
And marriage.
Yes.
So I'm actually, I guess I'm not like the typical female. I didn't have the maternal bone. I was animals always.
Yeah. It's very similar to my girlfriend, though, in that sense.
Always. And I'm even now, I guess, I have more of a maternal, but when I met my ex, he has a kid anyway, but that, who I adore, I love his son to death, but that still wasn't the trigger. For me, it was being with him made me want kids and marriage with him, right? So
when it was good.
Oh, yeah. No, that was like the first 2 weeks.
I was like 2 weeks. Shit. Damn.
Yeah. After that, it all went a bit downhill.
Yeah.
A bit weird, that.
Yeah.
Day 13, it's over. It was when it was good. But no, because even when it was bad, I still felt like, no, I want kids. It didn't change me. So maybe it actually wasn't him per se, it was my age. Maybe my body clock kicked in post 30.
Yep.
Yeah. And it just so happened he was my partner.
Yes, at that time.
Exactly.
But someone that you felt you could have children with, which then sticks with you in that sense because you like already have that feeling. And you're like, ooh, he's the first one that's brought that out of you. But that feeling can now is still with you.
Yes.
But you need to find the right man.
Yes.
Yes. Who's not just the right man for you as a partner, but can be the right man as a father to your children.
Oh, beautifully put.
Yes,
fully.
This is very important because you could meet the right guy, but he might not be father material.
No, that's what I felt about my ex.
Yes.
Towards the end, when I looked back on his behavior, the way he treated me, the way he treated my cats, the way he treated my fish, and, just his fatherhood in general, I thought, I don't actually want kids with you.
Sociopath. I was writing into my imaginary book, ladies and gentlemen, just scribbling into that.
Weirdly, if you want to choose the father of your kids, don't go for a sociopath or a psychopath or a narcissist or just cluster B personality disorders.
Yeah.
Avoid, actually, like the plague.
Red flag.
But yes, I agree. So, but when I was with him, I did want kids with him.
Fair enough.
But there was always this element in me where I was like, I don't know if you are going to be the father figure that I want for my kids. And it's a very strange actually discussion and topic to have because when it comes to marriage and babies, things can also change when you meet someone, as in you can change from either wanting them or not wanting them.
Absolutely.
So say that first, let's go back to the first date for a second, because you say, hey, Paul, we're on a first date. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want kids or marriage. And you're like, oh, shit, well, I do.
Exactly. Does that already change your, create a bias? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, but I do.
Yeah.
So if we're already talking about, we don't know if we're going to even be together.
Exactly.
But what happens if we do? We click and 3 years down the road, she still thinks this way, I'm fucked.
But then I could not have realized that I would have been with you for 2 years and been like, marriage babies.
That's right. Which is where then the conversation comes up of where are we heading with this? Like we love each other. We're so good together. Will we get married? Yes. Will we have kids? Yes or no or whatever. And it's a hard topic to breach, if you're not aligned.
But the thing is, it's difficult because if you're not aligned as well at the beginning, things can change.
Yes.
Or you can get a few years down the line and one of you was hoping the other one would change.
Yes.
Then they go, hey, I was consistent from the start, love. Like, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
And then you think, well, then you're just so emotionally invested and you're in love. And what do you give up this love? Exactly.
Because your life is so good together and you have so much already because there now is no future or the future you've envisioned that you want.
Yeah.
And you're right, because you could be with someone and they're like the best, but they're not the mother or father material. Or, you see a lot of the vice versa, where you see a lot of people and you're like, oh man, that person would be an awesome dad or an awesome mom. But of course, you're not going to be like, hey, are you available? You know, we don't quite have anything going on, but, you know, I see you as a really good mom. And,
to be honest, I probably would actually do it.
That's the next level of it now. Just go out and look, okay?
I'm like, I think I want your sperm.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about myself. Oh, you don't know me at all?
Yeah.
Okay, let's have a coffee.
Yeah. Wait, is your sperm the one that comes out dying, or go in very strong kind one? Yeah. Another episode, guys. If you knew what I was talking about, it means you've been listening to our other episodes.
And you will know that I'm still traumatized from that vision. So this is a question. Okay, when I say the dreaded discussion, then is there a possibility that getting it all out in the open very early on, say first date or you just start, can actually hinder? Because you're not letting the two of you grow or evolve and change as humans individually. And is it like, oh my, like, you know, Paul, we're on a date. I've gone, no, I don't want kids because I was 27, 28 and I didn't. And you've gone, well, then I don't think this is a long-term thing.
Yeah.
And you had no idea that 2 years down the line I could have become, because I had no idea. So, I mean, I guess my example, my sister had a baby. And obviously then I had like my stepson, as I called him. I had no idea how motherly I was going to be. But with these two, I was like mother material times 100. But you wouldn't think it to look at me to like, fuck you. or look on my social media. You wouldn't go, oh my God, she's maternal. But like when I was with my ex, his son would want to come and sleep on my lap.
Yeah.
And I would be the one that wanted to like bath him and cuddle him, and like he'd be crying and come into me. And like I'm all over my niece, and that was a real turning point for me. But a year before that, you would have got a very different response, and I would have gone, look, I can't deal with kids. So I just wonder whether there's so much pressure on this particular conversation that actually is not helpful, it's a hindrance. Or whether it's something you should be having really early on, and because they are such serious deal breakers. They're a deal breaker to the point they're one of the reasons me and my ex actually didn't work out, because every other month he changed his mind about marrying me and having kids. And I remember saying to him last year, like, I refuse to stepmom your son and never get to enjoy being a mother myself. I find that very selfish.
Yeah.
Extremely selfish of you.
Well framed.
Like, you want a family unit with me. And he used to say how he used to love watching me and his son together. And like he said it was like the first time he felt like a proper family unit, but then wanted to deny me that exact feeling.
Yeah.
So, you know,
he just didn't want 2 divorces and 2 stepchildren.
Sorry, louder for the deep seas at the back. He didn't want to be like, shit, I'm now stuck between Singapore and UK. Yeah, probably because he knew he was a sociopath. At the time when these conversations were happening, I had no idea, like, obviously the guy I was dealing with. But the conversation was so on and off. Like, one time he was like, all you're pressurizing is about wedding and fucking marriage and babies, right? It's just pressure. Because I was feeling so worried and insecure because I knew he constantly changed his mind. So I'm like, right, I'm 33 now. Well, no, I was 32. I was like, I'm 30. No, I was 33. Well, at one point I was both, right?
Yeah.
I've been both 32 and
33. Your math is very good.
So I was like, I'm not getting any younger. If he's going to keep changing his mind, now this is like a risk for me because I'm now losing my potential option of having kids because my body's not getting any younger.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like the age thing it is a big deal. We don't want to make out like it's a problem with female body clock and female age, but it is an issue.
Yeah.
I don't want to be 38, 39, 40 and trying for my first baby, you know? And if I stuck around with this guy, I felt like that was what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because he even said, like, well, I don't want a kid till I'm 40. And I was like, well, that would make me 38. How fucking selfish are you? It's not your body. You know, you can't have everything your own way. So that is this marriage and babies discussion was a contributing factor to us splitting up.
Fair enough.
Because I was like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Me and Joey aren't too far off that scenario of age and everything as well, in actual fact.
Right.
So it is difficult. And I'm going to go back to there's no right or wrong. You know, going back to when you were asking when's the right time.
Yeah.
Do you bring it up early? Do you set the tone? Do you create a biasness? Like you said, we all evolve. We all grow as people, as individuals, but also as partners.
Yeah.
Things change. It just has to be the conversation, right? You just have to be able to communicate and know. But there is no right and wrong, because you get people who they were brought up with the thinking that, like, okay, let's, you know, no sex before marriage, and then when they find that one and they get married, they're gonna have sex and gonna have children already. That's it.
Yeah.
That's their mindset already. You know, and getting almost married quite early, more often than not, and happy to have children and get that family unit going. And then you've got others who will just evolve over time. They just grow. They were together. They might not have wanted children at the beginning of the relationship, but 5 years in, they're like, yeah, this is it. This has worked. We do work together. This is amazing, and let's have a family. So, and then you get the last one where it's, you don't quite know. Is there going to be an age problem? You know, especially for females, more so than males. You do have a specific body clock that you kind of have to adhere to.
Yeah. I think a lot of women have their own idea of their own age gap for themselves as well.
Yeah.
Like
if you want children,
of course,
this is it. So if you don't, there's no.
Yeah. And if you don't, if you really know in your heart, I don't want kids, I think
you should.
From the get-go.
Yeah.
From absolute get-go.
Yeah.
If you're 110% sure, because if you're sitting across the table with someone and you're like, look, I'm never going to have kids.
Yeah.
And that's never going to change for you. The person deserves to know before it goes any further.
Again, goes both ways, obviously.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. We just put it in a point of the female with her body clock, but it does go both ways.
Yeah. When I first met my ex, he said he was scared, but like didn't. He wasn't a no, but it wasn't a yes. Yeah. And I said, look,
we'll see where this goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To basically, I think, keep me hanging on. And I was probably prime, like, supply for him at the time, because I said, I definitely don't want kids anytime soon. I'm a career girl.
Yeah.
But in the future, yes. So 29-year-old Nix, and 33-year-old Nix is still a career girl. But now I'm like, I want kids in my future. And like, I said to him, I've been consistent since day one.
Yeah.
You know? You're the one that says, I don't want, I do want. I've said, I don't want now, but in the future, yes. Not right now, but in the future, yes. And then I look at my body clock and I think, right, my body's going to have to recover from having a baby, right?
That's just Joey's thing as well.
It's got to fucking recover.
It's got to bounce back.
Yeah, and then what if I want another one?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's what goes through our heads.
Yeah.
And I think when you talk about, like, when you are, like you said, 24, 25, it's a very different conversation to when you're 35.
Absolutely.
Like, because of 100%. The time in your female body.
That and where you are in your career.
Yes.
How much of a better life could you now give a child?
Yes.
You know, these are very important things to kind of know. You know, I've never wanted to bring a new life into this world without knowing that I could take care.
100%.
Everything.
Yep.
Even if I, tragically passed away early, that there would be enough money there that I could leave, that it would still be able to grow up.
That's a really
with
good
all
point.
The opportunities, mainly schooling, of course, to get an education. That would be, a big thing. So we evolve so much, and I guess we're always touching on this 25 and 35 range, because I also think that's where the biggest kind of evolving happens for us.
100%.
Right? Like, you finish high school and you go to uni, and then you need a couple of years at uni and after uni to start, when you're in the working world, to build that baseline. And then I always say from 25 to 35, we all should have worked our asses off, but also had a lot of fun and met new people, discovered new things, different relationships, et cetera, to the point of like, okay, I kind of know what I want now and what I can do.
And also just discovering who you are.
Yeah. That's
I
huge.
didn't know, 25-year-old Nix. I mean, she was really cool, by the way.
Yeah. Cooler than this Nix now?
No, this Nix is super cool.
Okay, cool.
She was sluttier. For sure. She loved the old London models.
Yes.
I was like, partying, London models. And if I look back, I'm like, geez, my life has changed. On a million years would I've never said I'm going to be sitting in Singapore with my brand in Singapore. I'd only started Sex in London City for 2 years when I was 25. Just a different human, different person. And I had no idea about mental health or inner child wounds or looking at your none of it. So it's not even just your career and your finances, it's just you as a person. If I was parenting a child now, they would be a very different upbringing to 25-year-old Nix.
Totally.
For sure.
Totally. And I think you can safely say that for pretty much everyone.
Yeah. But not just anyone who's had mid-20 kids.
Not at all. Or even younger.
Yeah, I think my mum had me and my sister by the time she was 26, 27.
Yeah. My godson was, my friend gave birth to him when she was 15.
Yeah.
So and she's an amazing mother, and he's an amazing. Well, now he's a grown up, right? He's at uni now, so.
Yeah, I think it should. It's less about the only thing when I talk about age is to get hit in the part where your body is unable to really.
Yeah.
Be pregnant well.
Yes.
Or
recover well.
Yeah.
Yes.
So part of me now thinks I've honestly thought, should I have had kids earlier? And I never, ever thought I would think that.
Wow.
But should I have braced it? Should I have gone for it? Should I have got pregnant, or met someone else that wants to have babies with me?
No, but then your life here would probably not have existed.
No. Definitely
and then we wouldn't
not
be doing this podcast,
No.
and everyone listening would not have had the beautiful advantage and experience of you.
Of course, I know.
You see?
You're all lucky people.
Exactly.
But no, for me, I think so. If we go back from the age a second and just divert back to the discussion itself, when you have that discussion, say whether it was a first date, second date, 6 months in, 2 years in, and one of you says adamantly no, and the other one says adamantly yes.
Tough call.
It really is, isn't it?
Because I think both deep down inside somewhere will hope maybe the other person will change.
Yeah.
Over time. Or if they were still quite a compromising and fair person, they would just be like, okay, maybe in a couple of years or something, or a few years, I can change. But right now, don't see it. But that's really tough. I think that's something you kind of have to experience to be able to give an answer to.
I do know a couple of couples that one of them does want kids, one of them doesn't want kids. So the one who wants kids has basically said, well, I choose you. So I will sacrifice. Yeah.
Same actually, same as my sister and my brother-in-law.
Right.
He wanted kids. My sister's a teacher. She's like, I deal with kids every day. And to be honest, I don't want our own children.
Wow.
And Des, bless him, he was just like, okay, exactly like what you just said there. I choose you. I love you. I choose you. And we don't have to have children because you make me happy. So you can't, when you hear things like that and you see things like that and it works in real life, they're the living epitome of one person adamantly saying no and one person adamantly wanting, saying yes, and they've made it work. So I also believe that there is someone for everyone in this world. You just have to find that one person.
You think just one?
No, there's a few, but you'll always find one
Snow White
person for you.
had 7.
Did she? What a slut.
She had. They were short, but she had 7 of them.
She had 7.
She is my inspiration.
Isn't it 7? 7 is supposed to be that magical number. Like we have 7. What was the term? Like
What?
perfect partners or again the soulmate, 7 soulmates. We all have 7 soulmates in this world.
Is it?
Something like this. Yeah. But I still believe there is someone for everyone. You just have to find that someone. But there's a lot of someones you can choose from. There's not just one. You don't have one soulmate, that you have to be fated to find. But
do you think if you sat at the table on a first date, perhaps you met this someone, do you think that dreaded discussion would actually just be like effortless passing conversation, like, hey, so what's your take on marriage and babies? Yeah, I love it. Does it even need the word dreaded?
No,
I don't think so. Could it be like a super chilled, positive experience?
It can be. It can be. That's why when you said dreaded, I laughed, and then that's why you said, when does it come up? And you're like, first date, and I was like, yeah, to a certain extent.
I felt like I would scare the crap out of a guy.
Well, then that's also good to know. You're sifting through people in this sense, and if someone can't deal with it, do you want to be with someone that gets scared of? Do you want to get married at some point and have kids? If someone's like, and can't answer, you'd be like, yeah, you know what? Maybe this isn't going to work. Not just because you don't want all that, just because you can't even answer it.
Yeah.
If you can't even just answer it, what the fuck? You can't just say no if you don't want. Like, I'm not putting you on the spot here. Yeah. We're just having a conversation. I would just be like, this might just be too difficult if you can't even give me a straight answer on something where you're trying to get to know someone, especially on the first date. I think there should be a lot of hard but casual questions asked on the first date.
Yeah, agreed.
I like to test people as well. I'm a tester. So I test people very early on to see how they react to things. And,
like what? Give me a testy question.
Yeah, I mean, that's one perfect question, right, as well. But it's always also like, I like to introduce them early to my family and friends and put them in those kind of situations to see how they would react and deal with, because I want someone who's sociable and someone who can be with people that I love and vice versa. But yeah, or if we're out at a meal, asking questions about food and things like that, and seeing how they react if I eat something that they might not really have ordered or liked or something, but...
Or do you ask to share their food? Yeah. See their reaction.
Yeah. I'm down for that, I think, again, first dates I think are quite crucial in that sense. Yeah. And
I'm always like, do you like animals? I always drop that in. How do you feel about animals? Do you have any animals? Yeah. If they're like, ugh, I'm like, oh, okay, we're done now. Yeah. Check, please.
That's what Joey said to me. She's like, okay, so I've got 2 cats and a dog, and I had 1 cat, and I knew my cat. Okay, she's like, dog, bam, no worries, you'll pass that test. She loves everyone, and she really loves guys. I was like, okay, cool. And then he's like, Bongo's like quite chill. He's like, so you probably do find it too. He's like, but you have to get past Moshi. If Moshi doesn't like you, or you don't like Moshi, we're probably not going to have a relationship. And I was like, all right. So I knew, but I'm like, Moshi, gotta get on her good side.
Runs off to the pet shop for cat treats.
Yeah. No, just before I went to visit her at her place for the first time, I just put catnip all over me. Yeah, I put just a little bit behind my ear here. Moshi loved it. She was all over me. I was like, this is it. Good thing I brought my overnight bag tonight.
And your condoms?
Condoms, yeah. All there, all good. It was a bit tricky to be like, do you want to put this IUD in tonight? I thought,
That's not what you put in IUDs.
Yeah. So that's all right. I've got my tweezers. Just cough. Go.
Please, everyone, listen to our previous episode about contraception. don't just focus on this one clip it here.
But back to the topic tonight. You are right. I think there's a lot. We all have these personal gauges that we need to put out there to see whether the other person will pass.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying the person you can be with should tick every single box, but they should tick the important boxes and most of those 2nd, 3rd level boxes as much as possible.
Yeah.
And as we evolve, that's what you start to figure out. Why that last relationship didn't work, or what I didn't like about that person, or what I'm looking for in my next partner. We all have those check boxes that we need to tick off.
No,
and
when with the marriage and babies discussion specifically, when I was with my ex at the beginning, it was the most like magical conversation. So it was of course, yeah, you know, we had it planned out. He wrote me letters and we were going to get married here, and he couldn't wait to see me in my white dress.
Oh, wow. Well, he went that far.
Yeah. He was like, I imagine that you'll be pregnant walking down the aisle. So it was a double whammy. And I just can't wait to see you as my wife, my mother of a kid, and blah, blah, blah.
You got sucked into this?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, like I had no idea about any of it. I thought this was what it was. This is like love. This is the movie's love, Paul.
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was dealing with. Okay. So for me, I really, truly believed that. And it was not until like he moved here and things started taking a downward turn, where then he started exposing his real self when he was like, marriage is just a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Why are you interested? I've already been married once. Why do you want to marry? And he used to say, why do you want to marry me so much? Wow. And I'm like, why would I have to justify that? Well, I don't know if I want kids. And this really hurt me, because by that point I was so involved that I did want marriage and babies. And for me, it was like, but I also did really love him, and it was very confusing. So then what happened is it made the discussion come up even more. Because then I'm like, are you serious? You don't want marriage? You know, like, and then what happens is marriage and babies becomes this massive dark cloud in your house.
The dreaded conversation, which is where you were coming from.
It's like, I kept, and then I think, right, just no pressure, sweep it aside. Like, you know, he's not really proven overly great husband material anyway. So let's just chill it. And then, but I couldn't get rid of it once I caught wind of his real feelings, you know. And I'm like, I can't believe I'm standing here saying I want to marry you. You've literally written in one of your letters the place you want to marry me, where we've been to together. Yeah. You've described what kind of dress you fucking see me in. And then your next breath, it's marriage is just a piece of paper. Why do you want to marry me? And I just can't believe, like, why should I have to justify? Shouldn't you justify why you don't want to marry me? Isn't that normal to want to marry someone?
Yeah, if you love them.
Yeah.
And if you wrote that whole letter, I mean, that's just... I've never heard this story before, so that's crazy.
This is iceberg.
This is a piece of paper that you wrote on from the very beginning. Like, I mean, I would never write all that stuff if
it's love bombing.
If it's not meant to be,
it's not.
You don't mean it.
No, it's complete love bombing.
Wow.
But that's what threw me off, and then I tried so hard to not want to get married and babies and to chill out. And that's why, like, 1 year went 2 years and 3 years and 4 years. And then come 4 years, I mean, like, I couldn't hide it anymore, you know? And I feel like if anyone's in my situ where it is a big deal now, please don't push aside how you feel about marriage and babies. They're called deal breakers for a reason, right? And unless you are that kind of couple that says, you know what, I choose you. And you have to choose them without any resentment. You can't say, right, I choose you even though you don't want kids and I do, and then hate them for it, right? You have to really choose that person.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more.
And if you're going to go down a resentment route, or you're going to think you might go down there, then it's called, you got to break that deal.
Yes. And you got to make the next dreaded conversation of, you know what, maybe this isn't going to work. Or this doesn't work for me. Yeah. It's tough. It's tough.
I did do that a couple of times with him, more than a couple of times actually, particularly last year. But then his response was, no, I do want marriage and babies. I'm just scared. So then he went back into, I'm scared of my past. I'm scared I do want marriage. So we went back into that cycle again. So then, like, for a few weeks I was uplifted on marriage and babies, but it's weird because it becomes such an issue, even though, like, it never happened either.
Yeah. Wow.
And the older
it can be very confusing.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm 32, I'm 33, I'm 34. So for me, my age became a problem.
And I think when you figured that part out and you knew that this guy was just...
fucking me around.
Stringing you along. And once you really picked that and saw how unhealthy everything else was, you made the call. And that's not to say everyone needs to go down this particular road of anything, but I think there are certain indications, like you said, when you have these conversations, you'll kind of know. I have a feeling still you'll kind of know, you kind of figure it out together, and it doesn't have to be dreaded.
Nope.
At all.
No, it should be positive.
And it should be, I mean, marriage and babies, they're good things in life. So if you want it, you find someone who wants it. And if you don't want it, you find someone who doesn't want it. And that's probably the best way it's going to work.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's the perfect pairing.
Yeah, in that sense. Again, you get the special ones where one does concede and says they don't need what they've always wanted in that sense. But, again, as long as you're happy, then fine. But whatever decision you make, don't later on regret it and say that you're unhappy and for whatever, reason it may be. Because then that's not fair. Because that's easy for you to blame other people when you actually made that decision on your own. And
one thing I will say as well, is don't say the answer that you think the other person wants.
Yeah.
So say you're on a first date and you think, she's a 33-year-old woman. She's definitely going to want a kid.
Yeah.
I don't. Well, I say, yeah, of course I do. Don't do that.
I want 3 pairs of twins.
Oh my God. I fucking don't.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point to say. Yeah.
Be very honest with subjects like this.
Yeah.
You can pretend other stuff she really likes dessert and you don't have a sweet tooth. You can white lie about that if you want. Yeah, okay, I love chocolate as well, but not babies and marriage.
Yeah, because that's important.
On a scale of 1 to important, it's fucking important.
Yeah. And again, if anyone has any experiences or anything along these lines, it would be cool to hear about them.
And if anyone does want my babies, it'd be cool to hear about it.
Especially, She's ready. She's ready, guys. She's ready. She wants little sauerkrauts running around.
What is sauerkrauts? Why are my children sauerkrauts?
Just from your last...
I can't believe that. They would be little beautiful fairies.
Yeah, okay, they'll be fairies.
I've got in my head these little imps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually.
Yeah.
Bang on.
Yeah.
On that note, we shall leave this conversation. Thank you so much for coming in. As always, it's a pleasure, Paulie.
Loved it. Look forward to our next set of recordings.
Yes. Anyone listening in, who've got anything you want to say on this topic of marriage and babies, you can message me or Paulie. Paulie's Instagram is...
Paul Foster with 3 R's.
No one knows why.
Yeah. R-rated lah.
And mine is @Nixalina, which you both know. And also, please do message us as well on Instagram and put in requests for future topics.
Yeah, that's important too, guys. Let us know. Know.
Okay, that's us done.
See ya.
Ciao. Peace out. Thanks for listening to the Sex and Singapore City podcast. This episode was produced and hosted by me, Nixalina, and recorded at the Splicecast studio in Singapore. I'm available to listen to on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, and all major podcast listening apps. Do subscribe to enjoy a new episode every Monday evening. Please do give me a 5-star review. It helps other people also find my podcast. For more awesome content and features to read, you can check out my website, sexandsingaporecity.com. That's sexandsingaporecity.com. I'm also on social media. Simply search @Nixalina, Nixalina, to find me. Don't be shy. Come say hi.